to New York, we welcome you to the seventh and deciding game of the Stanley Cup quarterfinal series, Toronto Maple Leafs versus New York Islanders. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dave Hodge. This series has gripped the attention of hockey fans in both cities, and we hope the same is true for hockey fans across North America tonight as we bring you the combined efforts of Hockey Night in Canada and NHL 78. Our commentators tonight will include play-by-play announcer Dan Kelly, and joining Dan in the broadcast booth, Brian McFarland. It has been a very physical series through the first 6 games. There is much evidence of that. One example is the absence of the Maple Leafs star defenseman, Borje Salming, who was put out of the entire series but hopes to be back for the semifinals, if the Leafs make it, by this accidental check from the stick of Islanders' Lorne Henning. Henning said he was trying to hook Salming. Salming fell and the stick came in contact, causing an eye injury and broken bones in the nose area. Game 6, 2 casualties for the Islanders. This an unusual play. Bryan Trottier on the left collides with teammate Bill Harris. Trottier suffers a badly swollen jaw, but he will be playing tonight. And later in game number 6, an injury to Islanders' Mike Bossy caused much concern for his health. Jerry Butler checked Bossy into the boards. Diagnosis sprained neck. Bossy plays tonight.
Well, this is the 7th game of the series against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and probably the main reason why so many of the players on both clubs are playing injured. As we all know, Borje Salming has had an eye injury, and I don't believe he's going to be playing. But on our club, there's been some severe injuries and some not so severe. All the players are playing. Mike Bossy is going to be playing. Bryan Trottier is going to be playing. I think every individual on both clubs is suffering some bruises, but an important game like this will all be there.
Very well put by Dennis Potvin. The same is true for the Toronto Maple Leafs. This will decide the best of 7 Stanley Cup quarterfinal series, which in many ways has been very exciting to now. Here are some highlights. The opening game produced the only easy victory for the Islanders. They scored 3 times in the first period. The Leafs got 1 back in the second, but then the Islanders ended all doubt with this second period goal by Wayne Merrick. 4-1 victory for the Islanders on home ice. The second game went to overtime. A mildly disputed goal was scored by Mike Bossy to give the Islanders a 3-2 victory. Bossy with several whacks at the puck before it goes past Mike Palmateer. And the Islanders are 2 games up on home ice. The Leafs went home and scored a 2-0 victory, then a 3-1 decision. This was the winning goal in that game, Stan Weir making the score at the time 2-0. Back to Nassau Coliseum for game number 5. Again, there was drama in overtime. And Bob Nystrom electrified the Islanders crowd with this great play for the winning goal, moving by Brian Glennie and firing the puck on the short side to beat Palmateer. Nystrom is the hero in game 5 as the Islanders go up 3-2. Back in Toronto, game number 6. The Leafs had 4 goals in the first period to run away from the Islanders. Lanny McDonald scores the eventual winner. That brings you to where we are tonight. And we have yet to see the most important highlight of this series, the one that will decide tonight's game. Our Stanley Cup playoff coverage continues with the opening face-off.
When you've got a hungry house full, it's so good to know. Dinner's ready, dinner's ready. Chicken the way you like it, ready to go. Dinner's ready, dinner's ready. We put it all together in a minute or so. Dinner's ready at Kentucky Fried Chicken. Pick up Kentucky Fried Chicken in your neighborhood. Colonel Sanders, boys and girls, make it finger-licking good.
Hey there with that booming shot.
Grow with us.
Hey there making that big stop. Grow with us.
Scotiabank Hockey College, where kids get playing tips and news from the experts and learn the good things about saving right now. No membership fee. Just open a high-interest Scotiabank Hockey College savings account. Hockey College, only at Scotiabank.
Come to Scotiabank and grow with us. Grow with us. Grow with us. Grow with us.
John Potvin of the Cleveland Barons is not exactly a neutral observer with obvious family ties and former ties with the Islanders, but he's a very knowledgeable observer. I wonder what you're looking for as this game begins, John.
Well, really, Dave, I think I'm looking for 2 things. I'm looking for Toronto Maple Leafs to come out and play the style of hockey which has been successful for them in the 3 games they've won, which is a very physical type of game. And I'm also looking for both teams to come out and try to get that first goal, because it just seems that the team that scores the first goal or second goal, they seem to go on and win the game.
Can penalties be important? And if so, does that affect the way the Leafs want to play?
I think it definitely will. It shouldn't hamper their play as long as they keep it clean. There's no reason why they can't go out there and be physical. But naturally, none of these teams want to take any stupid penalties because they might result in a very crucial goal. And these last couple of games, we haven't seen too many goals scored.
It's been a very close series all the way. What would have to happen to make that not be the case tonight? To have one team dominate, as has not been the case too often, especially in this ring.
I think what would have to happen for the game to more or less be one-sided would be what happened in Toronto the last game. If one team was to score 2-3 goals in the first 10 minutes of the game, this would give them momentum, and the other team who's been scored on, I think they'd be in a little bit of a downer, and at that time, you might see a one-sided hockey game.
Is there one player that could decide the outcome?
I think if Brian Trottier and Darryl Sittler, they haven't done much scoring. If these guys explode, if they both explode at the same time during this final game here of the series, could be a high-scoring game. But these are the two key guys, I think, that everybody can look forward to. And also, I think that Ian Turnbull's been playing well, and Denny Potvin on defense. And both these guys can turn things around for them.
Well, you know, in terms of exploding, that the fans have just done that here at the Nassau Coliseum. Jean Potvin, thank you very much.
Live from the noisy Nassau County Coliseum, I'm Brian McFarland with Dan Kelly, and it's noisy now, Dan, but it could get a lot noisier before this evening's through. Well, the Toronto Maple Leafs could quieten down this crowd in a big hurry if they start off this game the way they did Game 6 in Toronto, Brian. It's the 7th game, and I don't know, there's something more with on the electricity level when you get into a 7th game of a series. I know the Leafs have not won here this season in 2 regular season games and 3 Stanley Cup playoff games, but that all means nothing now. When you get down to a 7th game, I don't really think it matters whether it's in Toronto, whether it's on Long Island. The team that gets the great goaltending, the team that gets a break. 7th games are a little bit different than any other game in a series, I think.
You're absolutely right, and there are millions of hockey fans in Canada and throughout the United States watching this one tonight. Tremendous amount of interest in this deciding game in the quarterfinal series. You mentioned goaltending. It's been spectacular throughout. Glenn Rash, with one exception when Billy Smith took over the other night, for the Islanders have been very cool in there, and Paul Matier has been absolutely brilliant for the Leafs. Goaltending could decide it. A break or two could decide it. I agree with you. Throw out all the past records tonight.
Well, I think you see that. Another example, Borje Salming, one of the best defensemen in the National Hockey League, gets injured in the series. A lot of people would have said, forget Toronto without Borje. They've come on and played a spectacular game the other night. So, a 7th game, it's a toss of a coin. You have 2 great hockey teams, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun here.
Well, I know the players are ready, and so is the crowd, and if we can get it in now, we'll pause for the national anthems.
Listen to this crowd. The officials for tonight's game. The referee is Andy Van Hellemond. The linesmen, Claude Béchard and Matt Pavlich. And the Nassau Coliseum is buzzing and noisy. Mike Palmateer, one of the heroes of the series thus far. A 1.83 goals against average in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And at the other end, Chico Resch. Resch started in all games in the series thus far, was taken out in the game in Toronto the other night as a 2.41 goals against average. And we are ready for the 7th and deciding game here at the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, New York. Darryl Sittler against Bryan Trottier, and we're underway. Here's Turnbull, number 2 for the Leafs. Trying to move it in, gets it to Sittler, but the play is offside at the Islander blue line. And Brian, I know one thing we're not going to be able to hear much of tonight. That's the whistle from the officials.
Well, I couldn't hear that one. I wondered if you could, but I see a little bumping and bruising between Big Clark Gillies of the Islanders and Tiger Williams of the Leafs.
They're out head-on against each other. The puck comes into the Leaf zone, and number 4, the rookie, Trevor Johansson, is back to get it. Johansson got away from Gillies. Now out on the wing, and Sittler picks it up. Fires it into the Islander zone. Dave Lewis going back. Williams takes him out of the play. Now Dennis Potvin tried to clear it. Johansson held it in. He's bumped by Trottier, and back comes Gillies. Got away from Sittler. Gillies a long shot wide of the goal. Now Dennis Potvin holding it in. His shot blocked by Turnbull. It comes to center. Dennis Potvin tried to clear it. Here's Turnbull. Ian Turnbull, number 2, across the line, and Lewis breaks it up. Now Sittler carries back in. Here we have sticks up as Tiger Williams and Lewis of the Islanders are separated by the linesman.
Tiger Williams has more penalty minutes than any playoff performer so far.
Tiger, as Brian mentioning, and Gary Howard of the Islanders, the penalty leaders in the playoffs. Williams, 59 minutes, 2 more than Gary Howard.
And Tiger said today, we have to win the one game on the island. We're going to do it tonight. He hit Nystrom in the teeth with his cheek the other night in Toronto.
Bryan Trottier wearing a special face mask on a helmet to protect a bruised jaw. Suffered in that collision with his own teammate, Billy Harris, in Toronto. Face-off coming up at the Islander line. We've played 46 seconds of the first period. Merrick ready to take the face-off against Jones of the Leafs. Jones gets the draw to Carlisle, and Randy Carlisle clears it into the Islander zone. Stefan Persson back to get it, almost lost it. Now Jones tried it momentarily, but Persson, number 7, comes to center to Merrick. He's bumped and knocked flying by Brian Glennie. Good solid check by Glennie. Now Howitt for the Islanders with Carlisle to the corner. They wrestle one another around. And they pile up in the corner and hold it there. The hitting is ferocious here in the early going.
There's Gary Howard, the toy Tiger of the Islanders. Everybody expected this to be the kind of game it is turning out to be. In the early going, a lot of hard hitting. Glennie had a solid body check. He had 18 hits in the game in Toronto the other night. Howard leads New York, 57 penalty minutes in this series.
Howard now heading for the Islander bench. The Islanders, after Roger Nielsen, the Leaf coach, had made a line change. The Islanders follow suit. They send out Kazicki with Bourne and Nystrom. Ferguson ready for the face-off for the Leafs against the Islander rookie, Mike Kazicki. Ferguson stationing Ellis into a different position. Very important face-off to the right of the Leaf goal. Scoreless game. Game 7 of a best-of-7 quarterfinal. And now Kazicki tossed out, so is Ferguson. So Boutet will take the draw against Bourne. Bourne wins the face-off. Back to the point. Jerry Hart shot is just wide. Now Persson to Nystrom in the corner. Glennie poked it away. Here's Bourne dumping it in front, and Carlisle cleared it for the Leafs. Persson for Nystrom. Into the corner. Bourne trying to cut in front. Shoots. He shoots wide. Bounced in front. And Randy Carlisle is there for Toronto. Kazicki ties him up. Now Nystrom trying to center. There is a lead pass to Boutet on left wing, who got it to center. Persson over to Jerry Hart, number 2. Now to Kazicki. Fires it into the Leaf zone. Palmateer leaving it for Brian Glennie. Lenny trying to clear it. Hart held it in. An easy shot. Palmateer beats it out on left wing, and Dan Maloney shoots it to center ice. Hart going back for the Islanders. And as he touches it, an icing call against the Leafs. From the Nassau Coliseum, this is Stanley Cup 78.
Superstars of the 100th year, starring Tom Jones, Ellen Reddy, Paul Anka, 20 superstars, including Barry Manilow, Neil Sedaka.
They say that breaking up is hard to do.
Engelbert Humperdinck.
So I sing you to sleep.
Superstars of the 100th year, disc $6.99, tape $7.99.
Face-off coming up to the left of the Leaf goal. Darryl Sittler out against Brian Trottier. 17:59 left in the first period. Sittler, number 27 for the Leafs against number 19 Trottier for the Islanders. Here's Turnbull clearing the puck, and he cleared it up over the boards right near the Leaf bench. So we'll have another face-off to the left of the Leaf goal, and Mike Palmateer.
There's Palmateer, been spectacular throughout. The Islanders having a bit of an edge, keeping the Leafs in their own zone in the early going here in the Nassau County Coliseum.
Darryl Sittler ready for the face-off against Trottier. Trottier with that face mask that we mentioned earlier. Sittler wins the important face-off, and number 2, Ian Turnbull, has it behind his own goal. Turnbull headmanning it on left wing to Williams, to Sittler, skated off by Trottier, and now Dennis Potvin cleared it to Gillies, who tipped it on into the Leaf zone. Bossy goes in after it. Turnbull beats him to the puck. Now Williams for the Leafs. Beats it on right wing to Lanny McDonald. Out to Darryl Sittler. Here's Sittler, long shot. Resch makes a chest save, was rather lackadaisical in clearing it. Here's Sittler trying to center, and now the Islanders try and clear it. Johansson fires it back into the corner. Resch around on the boards for Clark Gillies. Gillies, the Islander captain. Johansson held it into Sittler, cleared away by Potvin. And now Trottier turns in his own zone. Over to Dave Lewis. Lewis, number 25 for Gillies. Gillies for Trottier. Johansson checked him, held in by Lewis. Lewis, a shot blocked by Turnbull. Turnbull trying to clear it out of there, and does, for Lanny McDonald. McDonald on his wrong wing, fires it in. Sittler digging in after it. Sittler tried to scoop it in front. Now around on the boards, Potvin dropping it back, and Lewis is there for Mike Bossy. Here's Bossy, the Islander rookie, feeding it to Trottier. McDonald intercepting. Here's Lanny McDonald back of the net. McDonald spun around, and the Islander player Trottier falls, and they hold the puck along the boards to the left of the Islander goal. Tonight's Stanley Cup playoff game is coming from the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island.
We're saving $600.
We're saving.
This family has rented a Ryder truck
We're saving.
and moved 500 miles.
We're saving $600.
By packing and moving themselves, they saved a lot of money over what professional movers wanted. True, when you rent a Ryder truck, you have to do the work yourself.
We're saving $600.
But if you just keep repeating how much money you're saving, you'll be amazed how much lighter those cartons will seem.
We're saving $600.
Face-off coming up in the Islander zone. Eddie Westfall, the veteran out for New York, against Jones of the Leafs. Face-off to the left of the New York goal. Puck drop. Butler took a whack at it, but it's cleared by the Islanders to center ice. Now Glennie backhanding it into the Islander zone. Number 2, Hart is back to get it. Hart trying to clear it. Jones intercepts, shoots, and he fires wide as he tried for the short side. Howitt, number 8 for the Islanders. Howitt trying to feed it out, gets it to center ice. Glennie fires it right back in, but Jerry Butler was trapped in there offside at the Islander blue line.
Whenever number 18 steps out there, you hear the crowd set up the chant, Eddie, Eddie, and Eddie Westfall is the veteran appearing in his 94th career playoff game. He holds the record for most shorthanded goals in the playoffs, 6 with Boston, 2 with the Isles, a total of 8.
Westphal was a doubtful starter because of a knee problem, but he's suited up. Now Merrick ready for a face-off against Jones in the Leaf zone. Puck loose in the face-off circle, gets behind the Leaf goal. Here's Carlisle trying to clear it. Glennie now flips it for Jones. It goes to center. And Hart back for the New York Islanders. Islanders nothing, the Leafs nothing. They played just over 4 minutes in the first period. Howard takes a pass in his skates, and then the play goes offside at the New York Islander blue line. This is Game 7 of a best-of-7 Stanley Cup quarterfinal series. For one team, the playoffs will continue after tonight. For another team, the golf season will start a little early.
Coaches try to juggle their lines now for a slight advantage. The Islanders will have the last line change, and now they send Nystrom out there against the Ferguson line. Kazicki at center. He's been a spark plug throughout this series. Young Kazicki of the Islanders. Where's number 21?
Ferguson with Maloney and Ellis on the forward line for the Leafs. The Leafs cleared in. Potvin, number 5, back to get it. Lead pass to Nystrom off his skate, and Ferguson has it for Toronto. Fires it back into the New York zone. Chico Resch leaves it for Potvin. Off his stick, rolled in front of the net and cleared away by Lewis just in the nick of time. Now Dennis Potvin into the Leaf zone for Kazicki, and the play is offside. Kazicki on left wing was in ahead of the puck carrier, Dennis Potvin, offside at the Leaf blue line.
Ronnie Ellis, the only Leaf who has been on a Stanley Cup winner. That goes back to 1967. He has 2 game winners in the 78 playoffs and a comeback year with the Leafs after being out 2 seasons.
Quite a hockey player, and that shows the type of ability that Ellis has to be able to sit out for 2 years and then come back and have such a fine season. Here's Carlisle for Toronto. Number 23 comes to center, shooting it into the New York zone. Resch back to the net to Lewis. Lewis speeding it out now as Bourne gives it to Kazicki. Now Carlisle breaks it up at center ice, fired it up over the boards at the penalty box. And the faceoff will be outside the New York blue line.
Bobby Nystrom, he's been a prominent figure for the Islanders. 2 game-winning goals. Scored a spectacular goal in overtime. You perhaps saw it at the top of the show, going right past Brian Glennie, putting it through his legs, drilling one to the corner against Paul Matier to win it for the Islanders in overtime.
I really like the way Glennie handled that situation too, Brian. He said, I should have been making the play better and made the play better. I feel completely responsible for it. He didn't blame anybody else. He just said, I was beaten on the play.
Oh, yes, but nobody was blaming Glennie either because he has played such a solid series that one mistake, you can all be forgiven for that.
Here's Gillies for the Islanders, back into his own zone to Dennis Potvin to Dave Lewis. Lewis on left wing to center ice. In across the line to Trottier. He's checked. Now it's Gillis at the point. Fires it in front of the goal. Tiger Williams gets it for the Leafs. Skated off in the play by Trottier. Here's Dennis Potvin closing in. He scores! Dennis Potvin!
It's going to take a while to get the next face-off drop. Here's Bossy. Loose puck, and Potvin grabs it. He makes a good play here, racing right in, getting good maneuverability in the slot area. Number 5 is Potvin. Drills it low to the corner at 5:18. Watch it as Johansson goes out trying to block, but too late. Puck in the net behind Paul Matier. Islanders lead it 1-0.
Unassisted goal at 5:18 to Dennis Potvin. His second goal of the playoffs, and a mighty big one for the New York Islanders. And Potvin, a first-round draft choice and one of the outstanding defensemen in all of the league, gives the Islanders an early lead here. Unassisted as the Leafs went to clear it. Potvin held it in. Now here we go again. Sittler back into his own zone to Turnbull. He in Turnbull number 2. Gets away from Trottier, cleared it into the New York zone. Lewis is back to get it. Cleared it. Sittler knocked it down. Sittler flipped it in front, and Resch cleared it away. Here's Dennis Potvin to Bossy on right wing. Mike Bossy is checked in the play, and Potvin was there to cover up and clear it, and then cleared it up over the glass. Now, Potvin and Tiger Williams pushing one another. And the linesmen are very alert and get to the fray very quickly.
There's the Tiger, ever abrasive. Potvin has scored the first goal. I think it was Toe Blake that said at one time, Dan, that first goal, it's often like getting the first olive out of the jar. The Islanders scored the first goal only once in this series, until tonight.
Islanders leading 1-0. Here is Ian Turnbull for the Leafs. Turnbull, backhander, and refs a stick save. Now Trottier back of the net, out on left wing for Clark Gillies. Gillies tied up. Lewis cleared it around in the boards. The Leafs get it to Sittler. Sittler fires it over onto an open wing, and Big Gillies gets it for New York. Back of the goal to Potvin, out on right wing to Bossy, and it goes all the way down into the Leaf zone. Trevor Johansson back to touch it, and we have an icing call against the New York Islanders. This is Stanley Cup 78 from the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island. Dan Kelly, Brian McFarland, and Dave Hodge back at the Nassau Coliseum. Face off in the Islander zone. Here's Turnbull, a shot that's blocked. Another shot, and Resch just got the tip of a stick on that. Gillies trying to clear it. Now Jerry Hart takes over for New York. Hart for Trottier. Brian Trottier over on left wing for Jerry Hart. Hart leading a four-man rush into the Leaf zone. Turnbull tied him up. Now Trottier bumped by Sittler, but cleared it behind the net. Johansson shoots it around to McDonald. Gillies stepped into him. Now Hart is shot. That hit Bossy. Going to be a penalty coming up on the play here. As Sittler and Hart jab with their sticks at one another. And we're going to have penalties. Jerry Hart and Darryl Sittler, the Leaf captain, going to the penalty box.
First penalties of the hockey game coming up. What a hit Gillies on McDonald. McDonald saw him at the last instant, got the stick up, I believe. Sittler gets an elbowing penalty, and Hart gets a roughing penalty, and Gillies and McDonald get off scot-free. Just a good big hit.
I think a delayed penalty had been called, and then when I guess it was, I'm not sure who the penalty was called against, but then someone came back and whacked back on the play, and that's why we get the double penalty. So each team will be a man short. Minor penalties to Darryl Sittler of the Leafs and to Jerry Hart of the Islanders. We have 13:11 left in the first period. It is the New York Islanders 1, Toronto Maple Leafs nothing. An unassisted goal at 5 minutes and 18 seconds of this period by Dennis Potvin. Now Jude Drouin winning a face-off from Stan Weir. The puck comes all the way back into the Islanders zone, however. Number 7, Stepan Persson, back for the Islanders. Persson cuts in front of his own goal, being watched by Weir. Now feeds it on left wing for Marshall. Marshall shoots it into the Leaf zone. Palmatier couldn't knock it down. Here's Persson at the point for the Islanders. Persson shooting. Palmatier got a piece of it, and it's cleared away. Now back to the goal. Glennie lets it go for Maloney. Maloney, number 9 for Toronto. Feeds it for Weir. It comes to center ice. Bert Marshall knocked it down to Persson. Now to Billy Harris. Harris in on left wing for Jude Drouin. Drouin and Carlisle go to the corner. Carlisle rides him out of the play. Now Danny Maloney comes in. Harris for the Islanders. Dropping it back. Potvin bans partially on the shot, and it dribbled wide. Carlisle for Weir. Weir, number 14. In with Maloney. Here's Weir. Tied up by Marshall and taken out of the play. Now Turnbull gets it to the corner, but Dennis Potvin is there for Drouin. Jude Drouin, number 17. Shoots it into the Leaf zone. The rookie Johansson to Jimmy Jones. Jones, number 16, to center ice. Trying to set up Butler. Now Turnbull lost it and escapes. Here's Lewis picking it up. Lewis for the Islanders. In for Bourne. Bourne right in. With the ice to Pluto and Palmatier. An unbelievable save on nice grab.
What a great passing play by the Islanders and a spectacular save by Palmatier. kept them off the score sheet. They've opened the scoring with Potvin's goal. They almost made it 2-0. Bourne to Nystrom. Here's Bourne, and Nystrom cutting into the slot area, comes right up in front, appears to have a sure goal. Palmateer throws out that left pad, and it's trapped between the legs.
Bourne and Jones on the face-off in the Leaf zone. Johansson, number 4, the rookie Leaf defenseman. 20 seconds left in the penalties to Sittler and Hart. Here's Turnbull headmanning it to Jones, number 16. Jones shoots it into the Islander zone. Resch grabbed it, and with Butler cutting in off right wing, Resch held onto it. And had a face-off in the Islander zone.
Glenn Resch gave up 4 goals in Game 6 at Toronto the other night in the very first period. Talking to him before the game, he said, I wouldn't mind if they'd been bad goals. I would have really been bothered coming into this game tonight, but I felt that some of them were deflections, and I really feel confident in Game 7, so he was ready to go prior to this action.
Jones against Westfall, face off to the left of the Islander goal. Islanders get it to, or the Leafs to Johansson, a shot. Resch got a stick on it, and back comes Billy Harris with Westfall. He tipped it in front of the Leaf goal. Palmateer cleared it around in the boards. Tiger Williams takes over. The team's back at full strength. Here's Jones to center ice, tried to set up Sittler. Dave Lewis intercepts and clears it back into the Toronto zone. Williams, number 22, leaving it there for Ian Turnbull. Now to Johansson. Back on left wing for Tiger Williams. The Tiger comes to center. Into the Islander zone. Pearson tying him up. Williams centered to Sittler, who had a whack at it. It dribbled off to the corner. And number 11, Wayne Myrick, takes over. Back of his own goal for Bert Marshall. Cleared it out on the boards. Carlisle for Toronto. Bumped by Myrick against the boards. And now Gary Howard has it. Howard to Pearson. Step on Pearson's long shot. Palmateer turns it aside. Carlisle missed Myrick with a check, but Carlisle got the puck and shot at the center ice. Marshall for the Islanders to Howard. Carlisle breaks it up. Now Glennie for the Leafs is back. Myrick steps into him. They jam up in the corner, and Glennie comes up with the important item, the puck. Glennie to center ice to Lanny McDonald. McDonald scoops it around into the Islanders zone. Resch cleared it. Hit Pearson. Now Williams digs in. Resch has to get back into the net as 3 Islanders. Then Tiger Williams against the board. With the score, the New York Islanders won, the Toronto Maple Leafs nothing. This is Stanley Cup 78. Face off in the Islanders zone. It comes to the corner. Pearson for New York. Around on the boards for Bert Marshall. Now out for Bourne. Bourne skated off by Ron Ellis, but Marshall picks up the puck. Tried to clear it in. Carlisle knocked it down. Ellis with the puck for Ferguson, intercepted by the rookie Kazicki. Ferguson ties him up. And now here's Maloney for Toronto. Maloney across the line, and they rule it. Ferguson over on left wing is in ahead of the play offside at the New York Islander blue line.
Dan, here's a fellow who battled you for every inch of ice. Dan Maloney came to the Leafs in a trade for Harold Thompson, who went on to the Detroit Red Wings. And in a game like this, he's a handy guy to have on the wing. Notice how these fellas are really checking tonight. They're not letting their opposing wing get one step on them.
Right now, it is Maloney on left wing for the Leafs against Nystrom. Maloney playing in his 27th Stanley Cup playoff game. The Islanders have Nystrom out head-on against the big, strong, tough Leaf left winger. Trottier now with Bourne and Nystrom, as both Al Arbor and Roger Nielsen are doing plenty of jockeying and changing of their lines. Here's Pearson for New York, firing it into the Leaf zone, and it's offside at the Leaf blue line. We have 9:22 left in the first period. The Islanders are leading 1-0.
There's Al Arbor. We just saw Nystrom heading back. He just missed a great scoring chance moments ago. Islanders are 17-6 in 23 playoff games at the Nassau Coliseum, 10-15 on the road.
Leafs on their career here at Long Island are 500. They have won as many as they've lost, but they have not won this season in either regular season or Stanley Cup play here at the Nassau Coliseum. Islanders dump it in. Carlisle back to get it. Out on the right wing boards for Ellis. Ellis bumped by Trottier. Now Bourne. Bumped by Carlisle. Ellis gets the puck around on the other wing for Brian Glennie. Glennie feeds it on right wing for Ellis. It comes to center. Marshall tipped it away, and the puck was up over the boards right at the penalty timekeeper's bench.
There's Trottier. He was in a collision with his teammate, Billy Harris. Perhaps you saw it on the replay earlier in Toronto the other night, and it shook him up. He wasn't very effective the rest of the way for the Islanders. Who in the world is this? Must be one of Tiger's cousins.
Face-off is going to be just on the Islanders' side of the center ice red line. Weir, McDonald, and Williams now for the Leafs. Out against Jude Drouin, Gillies, and Bossy for the Islanders. The puck was dropped unfairly. They'll do it over again. Now McDonald back to his own line for Ian Turnbull. Turnbull, who's having an outstanding playoff, feeds it to Johansson, to Weir. Drouin ties him up. They hold it against the boards, and now Gillies shoots it into the Leaf zone. Turnbull, number 2, back after it. For Tiger Williams. He tried to scoop it out, held in by Potvin to Bossy. Bossy can't get his shot away. McDonald knocked him down. Now Johansson for Weir. Dennis Potvin hustles back for the Islanders to cover up. Here's Potvin, who scored the game's only goal. Into the Leaf zone. Dennis Potvin to the corner. Shooting it around in the boards to Bossy. Bossy lets the shot go, and that's deflected wide and bounced up over the glass. And they'll rule the face-off will be outside the Leaf blue line.
Whenever Potvin's out there, the Islanders are dangerous. He's only the second defenseman to average a point a game in Stanley Cup play. Of course, the other was Bobby Orr. 29 shots on goal in the first 6 games. You know, Billy Smith says Dennis is a very sophisticated young man. He goes to the museums, knows his art. He said, when we go to order wine, he orders all the fancy wines. I order Matus. It's the only brand I know.
Here's a loose puck at center ice. Lewis clears it into the Toronto zone. Turnbull, number 2, back to get it. Leafs are trailing 1-0. 8 minutes left in the first period. Jones leaves it for Turnbull. Now to Johansson, and off his stick up over the glass. They will have a face-off in the Leaf zone. I mentioned the Leafs and their record here at the Nassau Coliseum. A lifetime record of 6 wins, 6 losses, and 2 ties in 14 regular season games here on Long Island. But in the playoffs, they have lost 3 games. As we look at the rookie Johansson, he's not playing at all like a rookie, is he, Brian?
No, he's really come along well this year.
Merrick against Jones. They're going to toss them both out of there, so Billy Harris and Jerry Butler try for the draw. It's to Howitt. His shot blocked. Now Lewis trying to flip it in front. Does. Harris back for Lewis. Shoots one. Howitt deflected it off the goal post. Merrick a backhander wide. And Turnbull cleared it on right wing for Butler, who shoots it to center ice and all the way down into the Islander zone. Potvin back to touch it. And a close call by the Islanders. This Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island.
Well, Dan, that was a deflection of a Dave Lewis shot, slap shot from just inside the line, puck on its way. I think it was Wayne Merrick who deflected it, and look at that far goal post. So close, but not in.
Face-off coming up to the right of the Leaf goal. Ferguson and Merrick. Now Johansson for Toronto. And we have the linesman, Claude Béchard, injured on that last face-off and down on the ice in the face-off circle. And I really didn't see what happened.
Nor did I. Looks like he's been cut. Well, right from the face-off, Béchard could not get out of the way. The stick came up right off the face-off and caught the linesman. And Béchard has been injured. We have a delay now in the game with the Islanders leading 1-0 over the Toronto Maple Leafs. Game 7. And the deciding game of this quarterfinal series. Matt Pavlich, the other linesman, appearing in a record 203 playoff games right next to him. There is the injury, or the stick striking the linesman, Claude Béchard. There are standby officials. John McCauley is the standby referee tonight. This points out the hazards involved and the vocation of officiating. Barber pacing behind the Islanders bench. A bowling enthusiast, but he hopes he won't have to take up his off-season avocation very soon. He'd like to be playing hockey or coaching hockey for a while yet. We're again looking at Claude Béchard, the linesman. And whether he'll be able to continue or not, I'm not quite sure at the moment.
Linesman Claude Béchard, who was hit with a high stick on that last faceoff, appears to be all right, but goes over towards the penalty timekeeper's bench, and he's going to be given some further repairs. A little bit of ice pack over the left eye.
Richard Long, John Krause, please report.
So we have a delay here as the linesman Béchard was injured on a faceoff in the Leaf zone, and we have a 1-0 game. The Islanders leading Toronto. A goal unassisted at 5:18 of the first period by Dennis Potvin. And then only moments ago, a shot by Dave Lewis that was deflected and caromed off the left goal post.
Well, hockey has really caught on in Long Island, Dan Kelly. The tremendous interest of the fans here in this game tonight, and whether the Islands can go on to the semifinals and hopefully to the Stanley Cup Finals remains to be seen. It's all on the line for them here tonight, and the man, I guess, most responsible for the success of hockey here is Roy Bowe. And there's an interesting story about Roy and his wife, Dion, who designed a wraparound mattress skirt one day a few years ago, and in 2 months her skirts were selling so fast that Roy up and quit the grocery business and started a manufacturing firm called Beau Jess. Soon it was grossing over $200,000 a year, and a few years later he sold out for several million, and of course had the capital to invest in sports enterprises, and the Islanders being one of them, and a very successful venture, I must say at that.
Claude Béchard, the linesman, still being attended to over at the penalty timekeeper's bench. They have an awful lot of signs here at the Nassau Coliseum. Scotty Morrison, the referee-in-chief of the National Hockey League, is also down there in the penalty box area talking to referee Andy Van Helleman. As you see Scotty Morrison looking over from the other side of the glass. I know they have a backup referee. I don't think they have a backup linesman, Brian.
Well, I assume the backup referee would certainly be capable of stepping in. In the finals, I know they have backup officials in all the games, but just a backup referee in preliminary and semifinal, quarterfinal action in the playoffs.
Claude Béchard is ready to go, and Scotty Morrison, the referee-in-chief, heads back to his seat here at the Nassau Coliseum. This is Game 7 of a best-of-7 quarterfinal series. The Islanders leading 1-0. Islanders won the first 2 games here on Nassau ice, 4-1 and 3-2. And Toronto on home ice won 2-0 and 3-1. Islanders back here won in overtime 2-1. And then in Game 6 at Toronto, the Leafs won 5-2. Of course, this 7th game, 2 of the games, Game 2 and Game 5 here at the Nassau Coliseum have been in overtime. Darryl Sittler, the big Leaf captain, out against Brian Trottier. Puck cleared near the Leaf goal. Palmetier to Johansson, now to Ian Turnbull on right wing for Sittler. Sittler, number 27, to McDonald. McDonald cutting in, knocked down from behind, going to be a penalty. Potvin came up with the puck, but a tripping penalty coming up against the Islanders as McDonald had moved in on right wing. Live from the Nassau Coliseum, the Stanley Cup playoffs. Play just underway. The Leafs on the power play. Sittler a shot from the point, and Resch a stick save. Lanny McDonald around on the boards. Here's Jack Valaket for Toronto. Back to the point to Sittler. Flips it in behind the net for McDonald to Valaket in the corner. Valaket trying to make a play. Back for Sittler over to Turnbull. Shooting, and it's high off the glass. Westfall cleared it, but not out, and now Henning for New York clears it the rest of the way down the ice. Dave Lewis is in the penalty box for the Islanders for tripping. Toronto on the power play. The Leafs have had 6 power play goals in the playoffs. Weir, number 14, into McDonald. Lanny McDonald at the right point, feeds it to Sittler. Sittler shoots one. Resch to save. Rebound. Valaket poking at it. Centers it. Westfall is there. And he cleared it over onto left wing for Jerry Hart, who carries to center ice. Islanders, Hart into the lead zone. Hart shot wide of the net. Westfall picks up the loose puck. Cleared it back to center ice to Dennis Potvin. He feeds it over onto left wing for Jerry Hart. Hart set up Henning, but off his stick and Weir, number 14 for Toronto. 38 seconds left in the Islander penalty. Here's Turnbull on the Toronto power play to Jack Valaket. Leaves it for Sittler. Sittler to Turnbull. Turnbull moving in, and the play is offside. I believe Valaket over on left wing, in ahead of the play at the Islander blue line.
That's impressive penalty killing by the Islanders, notably Westfall and Henning. You have to watch these men because they have the reputation for being able to score shorthanded.
Only 28 seconds left in the penalty. You hear the chant here for Westfall as the Nassau Coliseum fans chant Eddie. Puck comes to center. The lead still on the power play. Sittler to Turnbull. Turnbull cutting in, centered it. Weir had a poke at it. He couldn't control it. Henning gets it off onto the wing. Tried to shoot it out. Westfall couldn't get it out. Now Dennis Potvin does pick an opening, fires it to center. And Lanny McDonald takes over. McDonald almost lost it. Gets it again for Ian Turnbull. He's checked by Henning. Now Turnbull picks it up. Ian Turnbull shoots one that goes off of Jerry Hart and deflects to the corner. Lewis is back on. The Islanders have killed it off. The Leafs. McDonald holding the puck into the Islanders zone. Now Dennis Potvin feeds it out on the wing. Knocked down by Boutet. Here's Pat Boutet, a drive, and he fired it wide of the target. Kazicki gets it to center for the Islanders. Now play called. Kazicki and Brian Glennie back behind the play had their sticks up. And referee Andy Van Helleman stepped right in, and we're going to have penalties against Glennie and Kazicki.
Glennie, the veteran Leaf defenseman. Kazicki, the young forward with the Islanders.
24, Brian Glennie, 2 minutes for high sticking. Time the penalty, 15:06. Islanders penalty, 21 by Kazicki, 2 minutes for high sticking. Time the penalty,
15:06, the time of the penalties to Glennie and Kazicki.
high sticking at 15:06.
We're down to 4:54 left in the first period. Islanders leading the Toronto Maple Leafs 1-0. A goal at 5:18 of this period by Dennis Potvin, unassisted. Now each team will be a man short. Wayne Merrick out against George Ferguson for the Leafs. Here's Stefan Persson for the Islanders, dumping it into the Toronto zone. Hustling back and getting to the puck is Boutet. Boutet for Toronto. Couldn't get by Billy Harris. Now Johansson does and shoots it to center. Persson over to Marshall. Bert Marshall clears it in on right wing for Harris. Harris tucked in. Oh, Paul Matier slides out and robs Billy Harris. Back comes Ferguson, number 10. Ferguson for Boutet. Too far ahead, and Marshall is back together. Marshall along the boards for Stefan Persson, number 7. To Wayne Merrick. Each team a man short. Merrick firing it into the Leaf zone. Carlisle is back after it. Now to Boutet on left wing. Number 15, Pat Boutet. Lets the long shot go off a stick and caught by Chico Resch. Harris, who was robbed earlier by Paul Matier, gives it to Lewis. Shot at the center. Here's Williams intercepted. Williams in across the line. That's broken up, and Harris feeds it on left wing for Dave Lewis. Here is Lewis' shot that goes off Johansson, sticking up over the glass. And we have 46 seconds left in the penalties to Kazicki and to Brian Glennie.
A moment ago, Dan, Stefan Persson really laid a fine pass over to Billy Harris. Maybe we can catch it here. Well, here's the finish of that play. Harris going in, tried to slip a backhander past Paul Matier, but Paul Matier has been very sharp in goal for the Leafs. He stopped Nystrom, one went off the post, and Harris failed to score. Might easily be 3 or 4-0 by this stage.
This is Paul Matier's 9th game of the playoffs. He has a 1.83 goals against average. Turnbull couldn't get it by Trottier. Now Turnbull for Johansson back to Ian Turnbull. The teams each still a man short. Turnbull to center. Into the New York zone. Lewis skates Turnbull off, and Dennis Potvin gets the puck for Trottier. Trottier, a lead pass at center for Bossy. And the play is offside. Johansson had Bossy well in check anyway, but the play coming over two lines, passing from inside the Islander blue line to the Leaf side of center, and it's called back, and the faceoff will be in the New York zone.
There's Mike Bossy, 53 goals for a rookie. No rookie ever scored that many goals in all the history of the NHL, but he gave us some anxious moments at Maple Leaf Gardens the other night when he was flat on the ice with a neck injury, was taken to hospital, but it was nothing serious, and here he is back in the seventh game as we have a little repair work going on at the end of the rink. The glass came loose down there, and they're endeavoring to get it back in place so we can continue with 3:18 to play in the first period. Islanders 1, Leafs nothing. Dennis Potvin's unassisted goal.
Dave Lewis trying to help out with his hockey stick. We've had a lengthy first period with the injury to linesman Claude Béchard earlier, and now the problem with the glass.
Williams checked Potvin against the glass, and I think that shook it loose. His hockey sticks come in handy for a lot of things. Roger Nielsen looking on, the rookie coach with the Toronto Maple Leafs, the 13th coach in their history, never played pro hockey. The closest he ever got to it was backup goaltender for a Junior A club, the Toronto Marlboros.
He seemed very relaxed for first-year coach in the NHL, coming into a seventh and deciding game of a Stanley Cup playoff series. As a matter of fact, so did Al Arbor. Both coaches prior to tonight's game seemed very relaxed.
Must be something churning inside, though.
Has to be. Teams each still a man short. Face off in the Islander zone. Lewis drops it back behind his own goal for Dennis Potvin. Potvin working smartly out of his own zone to Lewis, who comes to center. Lewis in with Trottier. Lewis shoots one and he fired wide. Here's Turnbull for the Leafs taking over. Dumps it to center. Sittler racing in after it with Lewis. Lewis got to the puck, and when Lewis touched it, we have an icing call against the Leafs as Glennie and Kazicki come back on after serving their minor penalties. And we have 2 minutes and 53 seconds still to play in the first period. Islanders leading 1-0.
You know, we were talking about overtime earlier, Dan. The odds are about 6-1 that this seventh game will go into overtime. Since the advent of best-of-7 series way back in 1939, 31 have gone the full 7 games, and of those, 5 required overtime to decide a winner.
Trottier with that special face mask to protect the bruised jaw. Ian Sittler on a face-off. Sittler wins the face-off, and Glennie, number 24 for the Leafs, has it behind the goal. Leafs are trailing 1-0 as Glennie tries to pull away from Trottier. Glennie flips it into the Islander zone. Pearson back after it. Got it to the corner. Bossy and Tiger Williams bump there. Now Pearson over to help out. Cleared it behind the Islander goal for Jerry Hart. Up the middle to Trottier, who got it to center ice. McDonald knocked it down. Now Randy Carlyle cleared it back into the Islander zone. Hart to Pearson. Back for Jerry Hart. Leads it for Trottier. Trottier skated off by Sittler. Carlyle comes up with the puck. Tries to work it back into the center ice area. Now Gillies is in there. He and Carlyle hold it. Trottier and Sittler are both there. And we'll have a face-off just outside the Toronto Maple Leaf blue line. Sittler, the big Leaf captain, a 45-goal scorer, 117 points in the regular season. Trottier, 123 points, 46 goals, and they're head-on against each other.
Great matchup.
A little bit of fire against fire, I guess you could call it. Here's Carlyle, checked by Bossy, shoots, it trickled through and rolled wide. Palmatier got a piece of it, and we're going to have a stoppage in play. Bossy had Palmatier beaten. It got through him and trickled out the other side. It may have hit his skate.
Oh, we've got to see that one again because I can't believe it stayed out. Here's Bossy, 22, going in. Fights for possession. He's so quick with those hands. Look at Palmateer. He thought it was in the net, too. Couldn't believe it. Stayed out and was behind the net. 18:01, Carlisle goes for high sticking. After the close call, as Bossy moved in all alone, and everybody in the arena thought that puck was in behind Palmateer, I'm sure.
Well, it was in behind him, but it didn't go into the net. And Palmateer himself was looking back into that net, but it missed on the right side and rolled out behind the net. But a penalty on the play to Carlisle, and now the Islanders on the power play. They lead 1-0. Here's Glenny for Toronto. Backhanding the puck down into the Islander zone. Chico Resch leaves it there for Pearson. Islanders with their power play. They've scored only 2 power play goals in this series. The Leaf penalty killing has been great. Jones and Butler are out there. Here's Pearson shooting it into the Leaf zone. Trottier digs in back of the net for it. Into the corner. For Bossy now to Gilly. Shoots one. Palmateer to save. Loose puck. And cleared away by Butler for Toronto. Now Dennis Potvin at the point. Over to Pearson. His shot. That hits Jones and deflects to the corner. Now Bossy for the Islanders. To Trottier. Back to Pearson. For Trottier. Shooting. Hit the goal. And Glenny clears it to center. The shot hit the outside of the goalpost and ricocheted to the corner. Potvin for New York. A minute left in the penalty and a minute left in the period. Here are the Islanders on the power play. Dennis Potvin shooting it in. Palmateer back to the net. Shooting it there for Glenny. Glenny gets it to Jones. Held in by Potvin and Nystrom. Nystrom being watched by Butler behind the goal for Bourne. Now Butler tried to clear it. He didn't, but Turnbull did to center. And Pearson is back for the Islanders. 32 seconds left in the period and the penalty. It's fired in. Here's Nystrom into the corner. Centers it. Butler tipped it away. Now Bourne is tied up and held against the boards and will have a face-off in the Leaf zone. 21 seconds left in the period. And 22 seconds left in the penalty to Carlisle. They will have a face-off in the Leaf zone to the right of Palmateer.
You mentioned the good penalty killing of the Leafs. There's evidence of it there, Dan. 3 power play goals against throughout the 78 playoffs. That's in 37 times. Remember, they played a 2-game preliminary series against the Kings to advance to the quarterfinals.
And the Islanders who had the 3rd most productive power play in the regular season in 27 opportunities have been held to only 2 goals on the power play by the great Leaf penalty killing. Now Ferguson on a face-off with Bourne. Puck comes to Kazicki. Kazicki trying to get free, drops it back to Pearson. Now to Dennis Potvin. Shoots one and he fired wide. Pearson at the point. Held it in, but as he flipped it up over the glass, and now Pearson is arguing that he was grabbed by someone on the Leaf bench.
Yes, he's arguing vehemently that somebody interfered with him as he tried to line up his shot. All the innocent faces on the Leaf bench saying, "Not me. I didn't do anything. I was just watching the play." Very difficult to see anything from here. Let's see now. There's Pearson over there. Did somebody reach out and touch him? Well, there is a hand over the boards.
Here from the face-off, the Leafs dump it down the ice. Dennis Potvin back to get it. The period comes to an end. And goal by Dennis Potvin. The only scoring play in the opening period.
Don't forget, go back to days on sale.
The Islanders in that first period out shooting the Maple Leafs 8-7. And the only goal by the Islanders, Dennis Potvin. So the score at the end of the first period, the New York Islanders 1, the Toronto Maple Leafs 0.
There's no doubting the importance of the first goal, and the Islanders got it. Denny Potvin unassisted, his 2nd of the playoffs at the 5:18 mark to put the Islanders in front 1-0. Penalties did not play a large part in the first period. 1 power play to each team, and the Leafs have all but killed off the Islanders' advantage. Leafs with the 1 second remaining in that penalty to Randy Carlisle. So it's a 1-0 lead for the Islanders at the end of 1 period. The 1974 amateur draft was productive for the Islanders. Clark Gillies and Brian Trottier.
Potvin grabs it. He makes a good play here, racing right in, getting good
Maneuverability in the slot area. Number 5 is Potpat. Throws it low to the corner at 5:18. Watch it as Johansson.
And Brian rehearsing. Actually, Brian Trottier is no stranger to performing. He's been playing off and on with his father's country and western band around his hometown of Val-Marie, Saskatchewan for several years.
We started at a very young age of 8 or 9 when we got up on the stage while he was playing in his band, and we went up there and sang one song, and next year was 2 songs, and next thing you know, we were picking up guitars and playing right along with him.
Both players were first-round drafts in 1974, but only Gillies made the jump directly to the Islanders, and he has made quite an impact. In fact, he held the club record for most goals in one season, 34, until Mike Bossy broke it this season. And last year, Gillies was selected team captain by the players after Eddie Westfall stepped down. Trottier, an underage pick in 1974, stayed on to play one more year at junior and was named the most valuable player at the Junior World Tournament in Winnipeg. However, after winning the Calder Trophy with a record 95 points, he fell victim to the sophomore jinx, dropping to 72 points last year.
Well, Brian had a slow start last year, mainly because of a knee injury he suffered at training camp. And he started the season, and his leg wasn't right, and the line wasn't going at that time also, and he was taking all the blame.
Well, this season, Brian can take much of the credit for the Islanders' success. His 77 assists led the league, and he obviously figured heavily in Mike Bossy's amazing 53 goals. Trottier is a premier playmaker, and as we found out, an adept homemaker.
I enjoyed doing the work, and when we came here, there was a little bit of work to do in this house, so I did it myself.
Well, I think I really got him started when I paid part for a radio lumsa, which I had gotten the money back from an income tax, and that really got him going because it's gigantic sore. And I kept saying, what are you going to do on that? What are you going to build on that? And then he paneled and beamed and laid carpeting and wallpapered and made shutters and done quite a lot to the house.
Well, I can't take all the credit because it was mostly her ideas and
That's
my
true.
work.
My idea is your manpower.
The modest Brian is just as quick to credit his line mates when it comes to hockey accomplishments, especially Gillies, who's known as Clarkie.
I think for our line to be effective, Clarkie's got to be skating well. And when he's skating well, he's forechecking, he's forcing the opposition into mistakes. Mike and I more or less have to watch our position, pick up our wingers when Clarkie's forechecking. I got to follow up behind Clarkie and pick up the loose pucks.
Some say Gillies also acts as the enforcer on the line.
I don't know about the enforcer. You know, I know how strong both the fellas are, and you know, they can take the rough stuff in the corners, and they can also hand it out. Mike doesn't really have a reputation of being a very aggressive player. So naturally, when somebody is going in there to take a cheap shot at him, it's my job to see if I can't give the guy something back.
If you get in a little bit of trouble, it's always nice to know that you have a guy as big and as strong as Clarkie behind you.
But the experts agree that Trottier, who gave Guy Lafleur a run for the Art Ross scoring trophy, is the key to the Islanders' big line.
Everything he does is with great accuracy and finesse. He's like I say, a strong skater. He's very hard to knock off his feet, and playing with him is probably one of the easiest things I have to do in this league is just going along. And I know now, after 3 years, I know what he's going to do with the puck. He's going to be one of the youngest superstars that ever came into the National Hockey League.
Well, I'll bet you that I'm gonna be a big star. Might win an Oscar, you can never tell. The movies are gonna make me a big star, 'cause I can play the part so well.
The lyrics to that song very appropriate. Both Gillies and Trottier do play their parts extremely well. Stanley Cup 78 continues in just a moment.